Welcome back, gang. We are in Richmond Park, and today on the What Life we are going to do a full review of the Winspace T1550. Let's go. So I've met up with Paris, who will be here in a second, and the carnage will probably ensue. We're going to do a ride out to Box Hill, so we are going to review the Winspace now that I've done over 1,000 miles on it and give you a full rundown, not just on like how it feels, but I want to kind of go into a bit more detail about different parts and different components, how I've got on with it, how it's worked with my SRAM components. We've got this SRAM 4 screw set on it. Give you the full rundown and take you on a ride. And it could get a bit, I guess, aggy because Paris is doing the navigation. You're doing navigation today.
Oh yeah, I need to find the route.
Or do you want to send me the route?
No, I can do it. Oh, I come here and trot into my dress. Is it that one? Oh no, I just lapped it. No, it's this. I know what I'm doing. Okay, perfect. Got it. Saved course. Box, short est. It's the short est way to Box Hill. 88k. Ah, that might be taking us back to mine. Navigate to the beginning of the course. No.
Right, Paris.
No, I know that we go this way.
Oh God, someone help me.
It's been 20 minutes since I got here and we still haven't left and we're still lost. Yeah.
we're still in the park trying to figure out whether we go left or right. This is what happens. This is what happens when you ride with Paris.
This is why I don't do group rides. This is why I don't organise rides. Because
go then, Bambino, let's go. So we're going to kick things off by saying that I have, although I've paid for everything on this bike, I probably haven't paid as much as some people would because I do work with Winspace. So that is what we're going to start off by saying. So it is a full review of the bike, but the frame I got a discount on and the wheels were sent to me. But I paid full price, you know, SRAM and all that stuff and all the other stuff that goes into it, I did pay for. So we made it to Box Hill, we're at the bottom, and Paris and I are going to do a lovely stroll up 2 or 3 times.
No chance.
She politely meant no, 1 time only.
Sorry, yes, no thank you. Probably day. Maybe another day.
How was that, Paris?
So I didn't really enjoy that.
She'll get home later and she'll say, I loved that. We think. P5.
That is outrageous. You were literally 4 hours.
Best 4 hours of my day. Peace and quiet.
Yeah, same.
Well, just trust me. This is the ham one. That's the...
Mate, that looks banging. I'd prefer that over anything any day. You know what I'm talking about.
She means...
She means talking.
Yeah. I will be sleeping on the couch tonight. While she lies in bed with the cheese toastie.
My dream. Very loud.
Please don't swear.
I've burnt the roof of my mouth, but I'm happy.
So it's too cold for a bike review right now. We're going to get back and then we'll do a bike review because hopefully I'll be warmer and Paris will be more cheery.
I will not. Tell you now, I will not.
So we've gone from London, Richmond Park, which is where I met Paris, to Box Hill, and we're heading back. And this is the world's worst way to get out into the Surrey hills, I have to say. It's been a lot of dual carriageways, it's just not been nice. Oh, here she is. She's going to shout at me as she goes past. Come on!
Maybe you can let me sit in a wheel for her.
She asked if she could sit on my wheel. I don't think she was being polite. So I was meant to do this earlier, but we ran out of time. It got really damn cold, and Paris had a bit of a bonk on the bike. So I am going to finally do this now, which is a full review of the Winspace T1550. Before we get into absolutely anything, guys, I'm going to give you the headline for this review, which is I really get on with this bike. I love it. I think it is absolutely great. The one thing I would change, if anything, is the bottom bracket and the styling. So let's get into the whole thing. Give me 1 second. I will pull over and find an appropriate place to give you the full breakdown. Right, so this seems like as good a place as any to give you a full breakdown on the Winspace, which, when it's sat here, looks awesome. Okay, so I'm hoping you agree with me that the geometry in this bike looks amazing. The arch on the top tube, the indent on the header tube, I just think it looks really good. And then you've got this strong T-shaped seat stays, which I think look awesome as well. Okay, so as I said, my headline for this bike is I think it is a really class bike that feels firm. I think NorCal did a review on it. He said it's firm as hell. He said it's I think to paraphrase him, like unforgivingly firm. But I quite like that. If there are things I would change, it's a BB86 press fit bottom bracket. It doesn't creak when I'm rolling along. When I roll along and I'm just like riding along in a group, it's a dream. Absolutely no noise whatsoever from any of the components, no squeaking. If I get out of the saddle and do a bit of a push on a climb, sometimes I end up with a little bit of a squeak from the bottom bracket. That's the press fit bottom bracket. I think the new model, and this is the secret insider knowledge, I'm hoping they change that. I'm hoping they change that. I fully built this bike, so I have, I did all the build, I fully built this myself. You saw me ride it up Sacalobra. You've seen me take it and do the Quarry Wood climb, which is a 3-minute punchy climb, 2 minutes 45. So my experience on this is like I put enough miles into it to get a really good feel for it. The geometry fits me like a glove. I have one spacer on the stem. I'm 5'11", 181 centimeters. This is a size large, which I think comes up at a 55 top tube. I think I measured that with the guy when I did my bike fit. NorCal calls it firm, and that's the one thing I actually really like about it, is that it is a firm bike. So when I did that little punchy climb up Quarry Wood, 2 minutes 45 of just kind of going hard, you get that kind of feeling that everything you're putting into it, all the watts when you're out the saddle or back in the saddle, are going straight to the ground. But like you said, it's unforgivingly firm. I'm 41 years old. I also don't mind an unforgivingly firm bike. The reason it feels firm is this T-shaped seat stay that builds into and makes it like a really strong rigid shape, and these really quite thick and strong chain stays. So this like definitely adds to it, and there is a ton of carbon fiber in and around the bottom bracket area. As you can see, we've got the SRAM Force group set on it with a power meter. So all in all, I would say this bike cost me about £5,000, or if you were to put this all together, you're looking at £5,000. The integrated bars do not come as standard with the bike. They are something that you have to order separately. What does come standard is the seat tube. Now, I've had no issues with it. I'm not sure, like it looks like there's a little bit of an offset on the seat tube. The one thing is I had to kind of like put a little bit of carbon paste and really kind of torque up the seat tube. Now, like I said, I'm 5'11". I feel like this bike fits me very well. If anything, it's on the slightly smaller side, and I have 380mm bars because I wanted it to be smaller. I wanted to be able to kind of like be a bit more agile. Now the seat tube, I cannot drop that any lower. In fact, if I go 1mm lower on the seat tube, I've got a feeling it's like getting caught somewhere down. It's literally at the bottom of the tube, of the tubing of the carbon fiber, which I'm presuming is not a good thing. So there isn't, I guess there's no room for that seat tube to go further down, is what I'm trying to say. So if I was any shorter on this frame, then you would struggle, is my point. You cannot go any lower, and if you haven't bought this from a dealer, then you are going to struggle to get that replaced because you have to get that sent back over from China. So that is something to be aware. I have 1mm, and let me show you. There is this thing here, like the seat tube has all the numbers. You might be able to see there that says number 9. If that 9 is covered, like if it goes below that and I can't see the 9, that means that the seat tube has slipped down and it's resting on the carbon fiber. So like I said, I built this whole bike, so I do know it inside out. I've had no problems with anything else. Like everything has been super like good, and it was easy enough to put together. As someone that has limited bike experience, I have had no problems with it, other than I did struggle to get the force cranks to screw together and stay together. I had to put some Loctite on the cranks where they connected together, but then I have not had a single problem since. So all in all, the first time I ever reviewed this video, I said I loved it because of the way that it made me feel. I love the fact that it was a new bike, and I still agree with that. I still feel like because of the dimensions to it and this top tube, the stiffness in the bottom of the bike and the chain stays and seat stay, that kind of firmness, and the narrow handlebars that I have in it, I have 380s, it feels like a very agile bike that when I put my foot down, when I put the power down, it translates to speed. And I have obviously been improving as a cyclist, but also I'm going around and just beating all of my Strava PRs in my local area, partly to getting better, but also partly I do think to just putting this bike together, especially in windy conditions. So I've been trying to break a few of these Strava KOMs on the sprints in my local area, and that is going quite well so far. The one thing that I do think probably does need addressing is, you know, it's not that I mind the styling on it a huge amount. I have not seen, I've been told there are a few of these in London. This is the only one I've seen. Apparently there's another guy that rides one around Richmond Park. I've not seen it, but other people have told me. But I think the styling on the graphics could take that up a level. If that feels like the easy win to try and get like a graphic designer or a bike designer to come and maybe style it out. I think from a build perspective, having put all the miles that I've done on it together on this bike, and I haven't been riding it in the wet, I will caveat this with that, I just ride it on nice days outside. It has held together and I haven't had a single problem with it. Even the kind of like small creak in the bottom bracket, sometimes I feel like, would that happen on any bike? Who knows? But it's dead silent when I'm putting down like 300 watts on a smooth road, just rolling down with a group, can't hear a whisper, nothing. And that is obviously comforting. I haven't had any problems with it whatsoever, other than this seat tube, which is a bit of an issue because I cannot drop that any lower. So that's at like its lowest point before it feels like it's sitting on something. Other things that I really like about it is I do like the fact that this is like a one-of-one bike. I don't see, well, one-of-one except for when I'm in Richmond Park. I don't see many other people riding it, which I think is a huge positive. Every time I look at it, I do really enjoy the styling of the top tube and into the header tube. I just think this whole section here, this top tube going into the header tube, just looks great. And I have it on good authority from the Winspace guys that they are actually going to be making some changes to, or some minor tweaks to the T1550, which hopefully should be coming soon. And I think it'll be like, maybe it'll be things like they might be like covering the axle holes on the front and rear fork, so they are covered and being a bit more smooth, you know. But all in all, as far as the Aero bike goes, I think it's great. This one I built up to it's about 7.98 kilograms with pedals and power meter and the SRAM Force group set on it. From a QC perspective, I didn't do anything like inspect inside the frame. I leave that to like Hambini and Peak Torque. Those are your carbon guys and your engineering guys. I am just going to tell you what it feels like to ride. And obviously, I have ridden it up Sacalobra. I set 36 minutes up Sacalobra. I set a new PR doing my Quarry Wood like 2.5–3 minute climb, which went really well. I didn't expect that. And this is an Aero bike that, like I said, is like 8 kg. That climb I think would respond very well to a firm light bike. What I have is a firm fast bike, so you know, it held up incredibly well. I think if I dropped some weight, I could probably go a little bit quicker. So who do I think this bike is actually marketed to? It is firm. Norcal said that. I agree with that, but I quite enjoy that because it means that, you know, I don't want to call it an aggressive riding style because I don't even know what that means. But I do like to just like jump out the saddle and put some watts down, or little sprints here or there, or sprint to a sign. And this is what makes me feel like I'm on like a nice racing bike and not just a more, what's the way to describe it? Like, it just feels like putting the effort in translates to power, because you get that stiffness in the bottom bracket, you get that stiffness on the chainstays. So I don't mind the fact that it gets referred to as like super firm or firm, as Norcal calls it, because that to me makes it feel like a fast bike, and that's kind of what I was looking for. But at the same time, the geometry has been the one thing that I have found has been so perfectly suited to me as someone that's 181 centimeters, like 5'11", almost 6 foot, because you can see that my seat is like almost perfectly in the middle of the bracket, of the seat bracket. I've got a 95mm stem on the front here, so I can sit in and it just feels great with the single spacer. And I'm 41 years old. I'm not a 22-year-old kid. You know, if you could perhaps, as a 22-year-old, drop that a little bit lower. I have horrible flexibility, like lower back and hamstrings, yet this still feels so incredibly comfy in terms of a position, so holding that position. So all in, like I said, it's about just over 5 grand. It weighs just under, like fractionally under 8 kg. The one thing, like I said, I would change is swap out the bottom bracket, get a threaded bottom bracket in there. Maybe that will reduce some of the squeakiness, or any of the squeakiness, because it's not a squeaky bottom bracket, it just squeaks. Does that make sense? It's not a squeaky bottom bracket, there is just an occasional squeak. Other than that, yeah, like I just think, like, I enjoy riding it. Every time I look at it, I'm like, sweet, I get to go out and ride it. I haven't had, you know, addressing the elephant in the room, I haven't had that many people being like, oh, what the hell is that, and or anything like that. No like comments about like people, you know, I don't want to, there's been no snobby bike culture. You know, I turn up to a cafe ride, people are interested in it, rather than being like, oh, I've got no idea and they don't want to hear about it. So I guess that's it. That is my review. Would I buy it again is a good question. Yeah, if I was looking for like a real solid, good quality, middle of the range bike that I wanted to do some crit racing on and some road races, yes, I certainly would consider it. If I was looking for a lightweight bike, then this probably obviously is not what it's targeted for. But I think for what I was looking for, which was a bike I could whack some deep rim wheels on, roll around with the boys and put some efforts in, and kind of feel like I'm part of the gang, yes, it ticks all the boxes. Yeah, and I turn up to rides with, you know, my friends have got like Trek Madones and like all the kind of fancy kit that you look at and you're like, wow, that, you know, you can see it, that looks like a great bike. I don't feel like this bike gets left out in the cold. I don't feel like it is out of place, but I think if they change the styling on it and just like the logos and the graphics, they could have an absolute winner. Maybe the black frame with the black Winspace logo on it might look a bit more badass. Combine it with some white Challenge Criterium white wall tires. Yeah, but there we go, that's it. We're gonna wrap that up, guys, because that's it. That's all I can do for you today. The Winspace T1550 updates are coming to it soon. I have that on good authority, and I probably shouldn't have said that. They'll probably tell me off, but I'm not sure they watch my videos anyway. But all in, yes, 2 thumbs up from me, and I can't wait to go racing on it this summer. See you guys on the next one.